citizens here in the economic capital Douala are now without shelter following the heavy downpour that hit the country's economic capital Douala yesterday. In this newscast, we tell you how a particular family was heavily affected as a result of the rain. We take you to some localities here in the economic capital Douala in this newscast. Also ahead, would Mancho, BBC and Kobe acquitted or sentenced? The verdict might be handed down today. The case is yet to resume at the military tribunal in the nation's capital. Those are headlines. Stay with us. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin right away here in the economic capital Douala with damages incurred and loss incurred as a result of the rains that hit the country's economic capital Douala last night. A family that has been left homeless and several important documents destroyed as a result of the heavy rains that hit the country's economic capital Douala last night. Dennis Ewan, a college vice principal already preparing for his retirement, has blamed the loss on the indecent structure that has been lodged so far by the school authorities. Simanjikan Gabriel taught some localities or some neighborhoods here in the economic capital Douala and compiled this report.
It was a difficult morning for the Equinoxe family residing in the staff quarters of the Alfred Sekel College premises located in the Douala 1 Council area. The family was one of those hit by the torrential rainfall that visited Cameroon's economic capital late Monday night. The vice principal, Denis Ewan, who will soon be on retirement, laments. I arrived this college in 2014. Curiously, I was given this house as my residence, a thing that shocked me because no school official has been lodged in this residence before. The room has always been reserved for workers. But very disappointed with the church.
Si c'est ça que l'église peut me réserver, je suis très content.
For Denise Ewan,
j'ai un peu comme l'impression que
I have the feeling that it was already planned, because if I was lodged in a decent home 35 years after hard work and about to go on retirement, I wouldn't have lost everything.
Départ en retraite après 35 ans.
The entire household of the Ewans was badly touched by the heavy downpour, with most of their vital documents soaked by water. The principal of Alfred Sekel College told about the incident, descended to his colleague's residence where a crisis meeting was held and a little contribution made for Denis Ewan to repair the destroyed areas of his house.
The situation here in the economic capital Douala, and it is recurring on yearly basis, especially after downpours here in the city. Now, dozens of traders at Marché New Dedo have been pushed to their homes by demolition agents led by the divisional officer for the Douala 1 subdivision. This was during an operation to flush out recalcitrant business persons that took the road hostage as a result of their various commercial activities. Innocent Aze tells us more in this report.
Jean-Marie Chakwi, divisional officer for Douala 1, finally matches words with action. Recalcitrant traders in New Dedo markets selling in the roads are being swept off after they have been warned and cleared off a couple of weeks ago.
La dernière fois quand il y a eu des cas ici, ils ont fui, mais le lendemain ils sont revenus.
Demolition agents accompanied by security elements unscrupulously demolished small and giant makeshift structures occupying streets. A mammoth crowd of traders and buyers staring unbelievably at the clearing of the streets operation. Some rose for their leftover foodstuff. Others secure their beef and other items. Even roof sheets. Affected persons look repatriated. Victims say they have been paying market dues to council officials, yet being humiliated today.
Vous payez les tickets, vous leur demandez là, même mon ami qui a perdu sa boutique là maintenant, vous lui demandez les tickets, il vous sortira les tickets.
Elimbi Robert from Douala 5 appraises the operation, saying it is to curb disorder.
Le désordre maintient tout le monde dans des conditions de précarité.
According to Jean-Marie Chakwi, divisional officer for Douala 1, mission has been accomplished as space is now available for persons to park their vehicles, to buy in the markets and live with ease.
Maintenant, les gens peuvent arriver ici au marché, se garer tranquillement, faire leurs emplettes et repartir comme ça se passe dans toutes les grandes villes.
He has, however, guaranteed to pay frequent visits to ensure no one gets back to the road selling.
And in the economic capital, Douala, structures have been destroyed to restore order. It is not a similar situation in the southwest region of Cameroon, where locals have been chased out of their homes purportedly by security officials. The recent appointment of a colonel to replace General Melingi Donatien is, according to many, one of the measures put in place by the government to calm the ongoing tension in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon, precisely in the southwest region of the country. It is coming at the time when some villages have been rendered homeless following the burning of their houses in Balangi. Balangi is a locality in Bonge subdivision, Meme, southwest region of the country. An example is such a locality as we see in the following story. A picture of a deserted locality. Balangi is the name of this village situated in Bonge subdivision, Meme, southwest region of Cameroon. A village which was before now home to thousands is empty, without a single soul. Inhabitants are on the run. A majority of them, as seen in these amateur images, fled the area this weekend and are seeking refuge in bushes and other nearby towns. Balangi is the most recent Anglophone villages where houses have been reduced to ashes. Locals have continued to blame security forces, whom, according to them, have failed in their duty of protecting lives and properties. In Balangi, there is heavy military presence, gun battles, though the number of casualties is not yet official. As the burning of houses continue in Balangi, Munyenge and other parts of the southwest and northwest regions, the head of state appoints a colonel to head the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade. Colonel Jessa David was appointed to replace General Melinge, whose recent outing confirming the burning of houses by security forces in search of arms in the Anglophone regions took many aback. The government has continued to deploy law enforcement officials in the northwest and southwest regions, despite persistent calls for an inclusive dialogue. Cameroonians are still to have an official balance sheet on the number of lives lost in the ranks of the soldiers and civilians and damage incurred. And as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned, Manchu, BBC and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis are at the military tribunal as we speak, but the deliberation is yet to begin. Manchu, BBC, Thomas Awa and others appeared in court since the early hours of this morning, but have been waiting for several hours for court to deliberate on the other matters that were equally adjourned for today. During the April 25th, 2018 hearing, Manchu, BBC was acquitted of rebellion, civil war, destruction of property, killing and the non-possession of identity card, but found guilty of terrorism, secession and revolution. It should be noted that during the same hearing on the 25th of April, one of the detainees of the Anglophone crisis, Mr. Awanatio Zacchius, was declared not guilty and simply freed. That was one of the Anglophone detainees that was so far acquitted since the liberation of Barrister Agbobala, Dr. Fontemneba and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis several months ago. And it should be noted that actors of the civil society, the national and the international community have continued to call for the release of Manchu, BBC and all those that were arrested in connection with the socio-political crisis rocking the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. We, of course, will be talking about that in the second part of this newscast. broadcast. The Senate President has condemned ongoing violence in the two Anglophone regions of the country and equally underscored the need for Cameroon to remain one and indivisible. Senator Masenya Njifendi was speaking today at the close of the plenary sitting that took place in the nation's capital Yaoundé to some of the newcomers in the upper house of Cameroon's parliament. The two-week session ended satisfactorily. Let's now have the excerpts of von Chafa Isaac, his CPDM senator, as well as Andrea Lukenze. They spoke respectively to Marcel Nganso.
And my appraisal as a newcomer is positive because in the course of the session, mandates of all the senators were verified and validated. A permanent bureau of the Senate was put in place. And finally, those of us who are newcomers managed to know how the Senate functions.
I think my impressions for this session were very positive because the discourse or speech of the President of the House was very positive too, because he spoke elaborately on the amelioration of the working conditions of senators and urged senators to be more engaged more than ever to see that they work towards social cohesion and the national unity of Cameroon, and most especially to see into it that as senators they have to deliver the goods so that the living conditions of the people, of the rural people, are improved. I think this really marked my attention during this last session.
A satisfactory Senate plenary sitting at the level of the upper house of parliament, but not a similar situation to some opposition senators. One of them is Senator Kemende Henry, that criticized the manner in which seats have been distributed at the level of the bureau. Let's hear him in the following excerpt. He equally spoke to Marcel Nganso.
What has actually taken me aback is the way by which the seats are distributed at the level of the bureau. You see, political parties which only surfaced at the level of the level of the Senate after their appointment, they assume the position of representative of political parties, and they are given seats instead of the political parties that fought their way into the Senate. To me, I think that the decree of the president, the head of state appointing them as senators, did not state that they were appointed as senators representing this or that political party, and he never appointed them as a political party chairman. He appointed them as head of state, and they were supposed to be senators, simplicity, senators, but not senators of a particular political party. For them to come in now and assume the seat of political parties and then wrestle with us, who fought our way into the Senate, wrestle with us over the limited seats that are available under the guise of taking the seats of political parties at the level of the bureau, is to me unwarranted, is to me unnecessary, is to me unjust.
And piracy and other security threats continue slowing down maritime transport activities in the African continent. It is one of the major challenges raised by shippers during the first extraordinary session for the year 2018 that took place yesterday here in the city of Douala. Babla Jonathan tells us more in this report.
Import and export activities of shippers across Africa is hampered by several challenges. One of the major challenges emanates from piracy.
One of the major challenges is the security in the Gulf of Guinea. The threats from pirates and armed robbery, and also poor connectivity. Because the issue is, if you want to export cocoa maybe from Nigeria, to Central African Republic, it has to go, the shipment has to go through France, Paris, then coming back, to the Central Africa.
Shippers from different parts of the continent under the umbrella of the Union of African Shippers Councils are constantly seeking solutions to these problems in a bid to enhance maritime import and export of goods.
There are charges that the shipping lines impose, because of the security risk.
Maritime sectors is very difficult sectors. You have a lot of costs, you have a lot of delay, and people are always complaining that the costs are very high.
It is for this purpose that they converge on Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, for the Union's first extraordinary session Monday.
The Union of African Shippers Council, is trying to solve these problems. One of the measures taken is C-Link, that is to improve connectivity, among the, member states. Also this WTO trade facilitation, that each member state, is trying to, implement so that, we remove barriers across our borders.
During the session, the Cameroon National Shippers Council received the first ISO 9001 version 2015 certification to step up its active presence in the African Union of Shippers Councils.
Between the member of the Union of African Shippers Council, Cameroon National Shippers Council is the first shipper council to obtain this certification. Now, what I will say is that we are going to continue to work very hard to keep this certification, because we don't have to lose it after 2 or 3 years.
The management of the Cameroon National Shippers Council says it will continue working to further ease clearance procedures at the Douala Seaport and the Kribi Deep Seaport.
Veteran journalist Valentin Simon Zinga has published a book titled Cameroon Chronique d'une démocratisation assistée. The book was launched this year in the economic capital Douala, and it laid emphasis on the role journalists have to play to ensure nation building. Details with Rabiatu Aliu.
Objectivity and lack of bias are of primary concern in the journalism profession. The role of journalists as democracy's watchdogs is proving increasingly hazardous. Not only have thousands of them lost their job, but they are also at risk of being arrested, kidnapped, or even killed in the line of duty. The phenomenon is summed up in Valentin Simon Zinga's latest publication entitled Cameroun Chronique d'une démocratisation assistée.
J'adresse des questions qui sont familières mais fondamentales à l'exercice du métier de journaliste et en particulier de la fonction d'éditorialiste.
In his publication, he considers an editorial as a benchmark of action.
C'est-à-dire une prise de position peut gagner en densité, en consistance, de manière à être promu. Le Cameroun est entré dans un processus de démocratisation depuis 1990. Il y a bien entendu...
Cameroon has been in a process of democratization since 1990. There is a long-awaited part of the endogenous forces, the civil society and political parties, which are committed to the process of democratization.
Et donc, j'essaye de montrer que le fonctionnement, la trajectoire de la démocratisation.
I am trying to ascertain that the functioning of the Cameroonian democratization is at the crossroads of these two logistics, that is, the endogenous and the exogenous.
L'une endogène et l'autre exogène.
The book launch, which took place at the French Institute of Cameroon, grouped a large number of persons who equally retained a number of lessons from the book.
À ce niveau de la crise anglophone,
according to a politician, Serge Espoir Matomba, the novel comes at an appropriate time when the solution to the anglophone crisis is highly awaited.
Il y a déjà des solutions de sortie de crise.
Martin Camus Mim, a journalist on his part, thinks that knowledge acquired from the book will encourage journalists to be objective and just in whatever they do.
C'est que le journaliste actuel doit s'engager à être aussi juste.
Another politician, Hervé Emmanuel Com, thinks that the author has showed evidence that people can work in serenity as he lays emphasis on what slows Cameroon's growth.
C'est eux qui doivent combattre l'obscurantisme.
Valentin Simon Zinga, in his book, which contains 289 pages and 5 chapters, aims at improving the work of media practitioners in Cameroon.
And that brings us to the end of this first segment of the news. Time for us to meet our guest. We shall be right back. Tonight we have an international human rights lawyer as guest. He is equally defending Manchu BBC, one of the detainees of the Anglophone crisis. He is Councillor of the Douala 5 subdivision and president of PADEC political party, Barrister Jean Didier Momo. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi. Good evening, television of Equinoxe TV.
The pleasure is ours for having you. Barrister, you watched the news. I saw how you were reacting following the images in Balangi, Mbonge subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. You see how dozens of houses have been set ablaze and local inhabitants now rendered homeless. And from every indication, local Cameroonians have been able to receive enough evidence proving that security forces are responsible for the burning of houses in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Now, if it is proven true, because we are still waiting for official information from the Defense Ministry, is this not crime against humanity?
Absolutely. It should be a crime because if, as we know, if they kill people and burn their houses, then it is a crime against humanity. And that's why, especially, I think that our government don't want to, have to investigate. Because this is, I saw many pictures through the TV, through the internet, through Facebook, but we are not sure. We have no evidence it is from which place. But what I can say is this. This looked like in the 1960s, you know, when we were fighting for the independence. And we know that a lot of houses were burned and people throw away. I saw pictures of people running away from the soldiers. And other pictures, other video that I saw on TV was shown a soldier near the house who was, or maybe they were putting the fire, or
like was a case in the BLM. The images that went viral on social media.
It was in the BLM. But what I have to say here is, it was only a single soldier who was doing that. Other soldier was around. And it looked like one of the soldiers was not happy, and both were trying to fight it or to discuss. What I try to say that it is not a decision, official decision of the. I can be wrong, but I don't think that it is the official decision of the government to decide that the soldiers are going to burn the house and kill the people. It can happen when some soldier which doesn't respect the law, which doesn't respect the order, maybe can do such a thing.
Before we talk about the attitude of some soldiers, probably by revenge, which is practically unacceptable. There is General Melingi Donatien that has been swapped. He's been transferred from the southwest region of the country and replaced by a colonel. He actually made startling revelations that left many in shock. He indicated that soldiers were actually burning some houses where they suspected that there were arms. What do you have to say about those declarations?
No, this, you know, coming from him, he's well placed to know the truth, you know. But what is going on is, this situation is really,
is that not one of
very
the proofs?
critical. It could be one of the proofs, because it is unofficial, you know. It's somebody well known. It's somebody who were at the place, and yes, it could be what we call the start of proof, you know, the beginning of the proof. But what I say is this: nothing official, as I know, is happening now, because what I know is that when you go to the military hospital, you could see a lot of military who was injured, who has been injured through the war, and sometimes it happened that maybe their friend who was on the field could be very angry and burn the house of people, kill the people. I say again, this cannot be acceptable in our country.
The fact that the northwest and the southwest regions of the country are being described as war zones is no news to any. For those that have visited some of the interior localities like the hinterlands in the northwest and the southwest, you could see the situation for yourself. That is actually, most of those localities have been deserted, houses actually destroyed.
This is true.
Yes.
This is true.
Is it normal? Because you indicated that we saw how local inhabitants are escaping when we see localities being militarized. What does that mean, Barrister?
You know, this is, we have a lot of confusion there. You have people who don't do the war at all, who are not even concerned, but they have to run away to save their life. Because when the soldier come, they cannot define if you are enemy or if you are not enemy. So that's the problem. When they reach there, that's why many people around the villages run away when the soldier come. Because when the soldier arrive there, how can they know who this is Ambazonia or not? You know, and this is really, what I heard is this. At the beginning, people were staying there, say that we are not concerned by the Ambazonian, and it was asking them, if you are not, your son might be fighting with the Ambazonian. That's why people start running now, because when you don't know the truth, when you don't know if the soldier will kill you or not, it's better to run away. But what it's happened is really a war, a civil war started there. Because some people are killed by the Ambazonian.
And in this situation, who is supposed to protect the population?
I can see
as a human rights lawyer.
It's the role of the state of Cameroon.
Is that the case in these regions?
I can see they try to preserve the life, but many people are doing the war, Ambazonian. You know, you have two kind of people there. A people who was just asking for federalism, and those people who asking for separation. No one can agree to be part of them, of separation from the Cameroon. And that's why you cannot distinguish between the one asking federalism and another asking separation.
So the punishment should be collective?
No. You can't judge. At that stage, we don't judge. We just act. He acts to put the order to save the people who has been killed because they are not Ambazonian. Do you understand my point? They say, what I heard from the people of the soldiers, they say, they have to protect those people who are neutral, who have said we don't want the war, and who has forced to do the war by Ambazonian, because the people of Ambazonia come to kill the civil themselves, civil who are not involved in the war, who refuse to go to the war, and they want to force them to become all Ambazonian. This is not acceptable at all. And the government, the role of the government is to protect those people who refuse the separation from the Cameroon. And the point is this: people who are looking for the separation of the Cameroon and who have, they are talking through the TV, they are talking, they are making war, they are taking a weapon against the government. It is the war. They have to be neutralized. They have to be neutralized. But what we condemn that is, how can we distinguish between Ambazonian who take the weapon from the civil servant? What we ask is for the civilian. Our soldier have to protect all the civilian, including the young people.
If the soldiers were protecting the civilians, why are some seeking refuge in bushes? Why are some escaping to Nigeria?
Yes, it's just because
they were supposed to be rushing to police stations and gendarmerie posts to seek refuge there for their security and protection, but that's not the case.
That's not the case, and that's why I say this situation become uncontrollable, because under control. It's not under control. It's not under control of the government, because if the government say you have the right to protect the civilian,
it's not under the control of the government.
Yes, because how can he control? How can he say?
Who has the solution to the Anglophone crisis?
My dear, let me tell you
because
something.
many believe that the government, the president of the republic, has the final say.
I think that as I see the situation, the war is going to take some time. As it started during 1960, it stopped at 1970 when they arrested Ernest Wandi and killed him. And I am afraid that as the government don't want to listen people who are talking about secession, and as those people don't want to step down and to leave down the weapon, the war is installed.
Who is supposed to drop the weapons? The soldiers or the...
Not the soldier. The soldier cannot...
The pro-independence fighters.
The people who take the weapon against the state of Cameroon. And they say they want separation from the Cameroon, they have to step down.
So when they will step down, the head of state will equally declare war against them.
You remember what the president of the republic said?
And 17.
You remember what the president of the republic said? He said, we have win Boko Haram, and it's not only we have win the people of Makiza, before 1960
and that this one is not going to be different.
And this one is not different. And that means what? The position of the government is we are strong enough, we have our soldier, we have the right to put the peace in our country. We don't want to talk about secession or separation. Those people who take the weapon and talk about separation have to step down.
Do you think there can be dialogue? There can be genuine dialogue, inclusive dialogue, without the secessionists that you are talking about?
The dialogue cannot be with people talking about secession. The dialogue can be installed with people talking about the change of the form of the state, the federalism. As myself, I would like to talk about federalism and to see that where are we? So, thinking that dialogue, I always say the things as I saw them, and I think that now what I say is this: the government of Mr. Paul Biya, as I see, don't want to discuss or to dialogue with people taking the weapon against the state of the Cameroon and talking about secession or separation. Never. They will kill all. They will go to the war and kill them. They will never stop.
Including what about the situation of civilians?
The civilians are not concerned
because they are the most affected as far as the situation is concerned.
Yes, and this is what I am very sad, because that situation involved the civilian, including the children, including the women, including the old people, and this situation is very sad. But how to solve it without collateral damage? How to solve it when people are running, are hiding themselves in the bush? In the bush, you don't know. In the 1960s, what happened is that they published to the civilian to get out from the bush, to come in town, and to leave the weapon, come in town. All those people who have the weapon have to step down, come out from the bush.
Do you think the government is ready for such a move?
Yes.
And that if they come back, if the pro-independence fighters actually drop their weapons, there would be peace, because we see many of those that are being accused are either being shot, like you said, or arrested.
Yes. But during the war, there is what we call the peace agreement. Peace agreement means that we can say, the president can say, from now, all those who will step down the weapon, throw down the weapon.
But we are not yet there.
Yeah, we not yet. And come out from the brush, nothing will happen to them. I'm sure that, and they did it before. What I see, looking in my mirror at the back, what happened in this country, they don't going to step down. The government don't going to stop, follow the war in the northern and southern region until the Ambazonian refuse to the revendication of the secession. We can talk about federalism, but if they continue talking secession, they enforce people of Southwest and Northwest to involve in the secession, we will not have peace. You remember, I say here one day in this television that the situation is going out of control because the government don't want to dialogue and the Ambazonian don't want to dialogue. You have two parts. The government don't want to change his mind and go through this federalism, but he agreed to go through the decentralization, and they have
and
created.
You think the decentralization is the solution?
Yeah, yes. This is the government position. Yeah,
and you think it's the solution?
No, I don't have to think. I am for federalism, but I can agree that this is the
maybe we'll
solution
just find out from you
by the government.
Maybe we'll just find out from you final a reaction on the case of Mancho BBC that is yet to begin at the military tribunal in the nation's capital.
Yes, what I see is that the judgment of BBC and it's not equitable because it is injustice to sentence that guy. He never been involved in secession. He never been involved in terrorism. He never been involved in something revolution. He never been involved in revolution. What he says, he claim of water. Basically water to drink, living in the nice, a peace country with a good road, with some food for everyone. So he should be
acquitted, Barrister?
He should be acquitted. He should be acquitted. Because sentence BBC is the summon of injustice. That guys and everyone see BBC through the TV. He never have any weapon in his mind. He always speak, and he's a colorful revolution because they say colorful revolution because
thank you
he
so much,
throw the colorful and say this is where I'm already.
Thank you so much,
Barrister. The revolution is different of that. When you take the weapon, you ask for a revolution.
It's something else. Thank you so much, Barrister Jean de Dieu Momo, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, viewers, it was a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.